The nervous system. The brain. The brain is the main nerve center of the human body. Within the brain, there are many structures. Among these are the cerebrum, which is the area of the brain responsible for consciousness. It is also the largest portion and is separated into two halves known as the left and right cerebral hemispheres. Each hemisphere contains four lobes: the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes. The corpus callosum is the structure that connects the left and right hemispheres of the cerebrum. The thalamus is the last center of the brain for sensory input before the cerebrum. It serves as a relay station for sensory impulses traveling upwards. Next is the hypothalamus. This is the part that makes sure the body remains in homeostasis. It contains centers for hunger, sleep, thirst, body temperature, water balance, and blood pressure. The hypothalamus also controls the pituitary gland and serves as a link between the nervous and endocrine systems. Next up is the cerebellum. It is the second largest portion of the brain, and it functions in muscle coordination, integrating impulses received from higher centers. This is to ensure all your muscles work together to produce smooth and graceful motions. Your brainstem contains three key components: the midbrain, the pons, which contains bundles of axons traveling between the cerebellum and the rest of the central nervous system, and the last part of your brainstem is the medulla, which works with the pons to regulate your vitals such as heartbeat and breathing, and it also has reflex centers for vomiting, coughing, sneezing, hiccuping, and swallowing. Lastly is the neuroendocrine link containing the aforementioned hypothalamus and your anterior and posterior pituitary glands. These glands release hormones. Next up are the cells that make up your nervous system, which are called neurons. You have three types of neurons, those being sensory neurons, which detect a stimulus and send signal to your CNS, the interneurons, which carry the message throughout your CNS, and more motor neurons. These are what send the signal to your muscles to react to a stimuli. Every neuron contains three main structures: the cell body, which contains the nucleus, the axon, which connects to the dendrite on the next cell and always moves away from the cell body, and the dendrite, which connects to the axon of the previous cell and always goes towards the cell body. Lastly is nerve impulses. No movement or reaction would be possible without nerve impulses. The nerve impulse starts out at the resting potential. This is when the neuron is at rest and there is more sodium on the outside and more potassium on the inside. ATP is used to maintain this concentration difference. Next is the upswing of the action potential. This is when the membrane becomes permeable to sodium ions and the sodium gates open to allow sodium to diffuse in. After that comes the downswing. This is when the potassium gates open and potassium diffuses out. Lastly is the recovery phase. This happens as soon as the action potential has moved to the next portion of the neuron. This process requires 1/1000th of a second.